Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you all are having a fabulous day. It's a super rainy day here, so not that great outside. So I'm working on some YouTubes for you all today. And today's video is going to be about highlighting and contouring. So if you're looking for a really beginner way to highlight and contour to get like this kind of look, make sure you keep watching. This is, like I said, for beginners. There are more in-depth ways you can highlight and contour, different ways you can tailor it to your specific face shape, but this is kind of like a universal beginner, get your feet wet, highlight and contour. So if you want to see how I did this, keep watching. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go in with a little bit of primer to start. Primer is super important to any makeup look. No matter who you are, what your skin type is, you should be wearing some kind of primer. Whether it's kind of a liquidy primer like this or like a powder as a primer. If you're super duper oily, you should be putting something on your skin to go between you and the makeup. It's gonna help everything last longer, wear smoother. It's gonna fill in any little pores or like little areas you've got on your skin. But once you get your primer on, you want to massage it in and you want to let it sit 3, 4, 5 minutes. I usually do my skincare routine, then I do sunscreen, then I do my primer, go do whatever I need to do, get dressed, and then I'll come back and do the rest of my face. So we're going to give that about 5 minutes and I'll be right back. Okay guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do, by the way, I've got a Dunder Mifflin shirt on. I freaking love this shirt. The first thing we're going to do is do foundation. And I'm shaking you, I'm so sorry, but this liquid foundation needs to be shaken up. If you're not sure what kind of foundation you should be wearing, I've got another video on my channel that kind of goes into depths about foundation type and how to know which one is right for you. So I'll put that in the description box, and I'll also link a video back to that at the end of this video. Hopefully that made sense. But I'm going to go on with my foundation, okay? This is I'm just patting this out because I'd washed it the other day, getting it shaped back. This is a powder puff brush by Real Techniques. I love this one for applying my liquid foundation. I don't use a liquid foundation brush. I use a powder puff brush. I use not a cream to powder, a liquid to powder foundation. So I do a few drops and then I just go on in here, just like this. And then I start buffing it. This foundation is liquid, dries to a powder finish. The lighter you buff it in, the better the coverage is. With this, the harder you press, the less coverage you're gonna get. This is a medium coverage foundation. Now the foundation you use under your highlight and contour really doesn't matter. It can play, like if you are a powder foundation kind of girl, I will tell you that you're gonna wanna use a powder contour most of the time. But other than that, shouldn't really matter. So we got that on. I'm just buffing it in. I like this foundation too because you can layer it. So say you don't want like heavy coverage everywhere, but like I've got a cold sore that's healing. But if I wanted to put extra on, I'm not going to, but if I wanted to put like a little extra on this area, I could just go back in to that one specific area. So what I do after I get my foundation on is I go ahead and do my eyebrows. And that's a personal preference because in the highlighting process, I like to highlight around my brows as well. So I'm gonna go do my brows and I'll be right back. All right, so for the most part, I've got my brows done. I like to do them first because like I said, we're gonna highlight around them, but also clean them up. You can see I've got a few spots that maybe I combed it out too far and it just like cleans the whole situation up. But the first thing I'm gonna go in with is my yellow color corrector. This is optional. I just always have dark circles. Today they're not that bad, but I like yellow color corrector, so I go ahead and pat that right in here. Get that settled. And then I kind of like to let it sit a couple minutes, but while we're doing that, we're gonna get our highlight together, and I'm gonna tell you about what you should use to highlight. So there's a couple different things you can do for your highlight and contour. Different ways you can do it, different products you can use. You can buy, I don't know if I have mine handy, but you can buy an actual highlight and contouring kit. They usually come with like a kind of a cream-based product. It's got a light color, a dark color, and sometimes a sparkly highlight color. There are two different kinds of highlights. So you've got your matte highlight, which you're using to highlight certain areas of your face, brighten. Then you've got a shimmery highlight that usually you are gonna put like on your cheekbones, on your nose, maybe under your brow, and then your dark color, which is gonna be your contour. Now, you do not have to buy an actual highlighting and contouring kit. You can use things like concealer to highlight and contour. You can use things like foundation. You can use things like bronzer for your contour. So my personal favorite way to highlight is to use a concealer because I always feel like I need extra coverage in the areas where we highlight anyway. So today I'm gonna use a concealer, and then I'm going to use a powder foundation to contour. You can use a stick foundation, cream foundation, any foundation that you really want to work with. So let's talk about how to pick the right colors if you're going to use a concealer and a foundation. So what you want to do, and then if you wanted to purchase something from me, obviously I would help you color match. But if you're going out to the store and you're just like looking on the shelf, what are you going to do? So you would want to know your foundation color. So for me, I'm wearing the color Organza by Unique. For highlight, you want to go 1 to 2 shades lighter than your foundation color. For contour, you want to go 1 to 2 shades darker, depending on how drastic you want it to be. For a little bit more subtle natural, do 1 shade each direction. For a little bit more dramatic, go 2. I'm going to go up 1 shade for my highlight, because that's the lightest there is, and use Scarlet Concealer for my highlight. And then for my contour, I'm going to use Chanel Pressed Powder, which is a few shades down. And this is what the Chanel looks like. This is a pressed powder by Unique. Let me cover up that mirror. You can see that I use it all the time. It's my favorite way to contour. And then this is almost empty, but this is the concealer in the color Scarlet. So we're gonna go in with that first. So what I'm gonna do is get a brush out. You can use a concealer brush. I personally really like a flat brush like this. This is a cream eyeshadow brush, but I use it for usually just my concealer. I'm gonna score this on the back of my hand. Wow, that's way more than I needed, but I kind of anticipated it wouldn't come out because it's so empty, but it came out really easy today. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna highlight first. I like to highlight first. If you want to contour first, that's totally fine too. It's just personal preference. I always highlight first. So when you highlight your face, you need to think about where you put the lighter color is gonna be more, like people are gonna be more drawn to that. Where you put the darker color for the contour, it's gonna go away, like a shadow. So you've got your light areas and your dark areas. So one thing I really like to do is highlight under my eye. It's gonna brighten up the eyes. It's gonna make you look more awake, hide any like tiredness or puffiness. And just, there was something else, but I forgot. But anyways, you guys, I could edit this, but this is who I am, so let's roll with it. So I'm gonna take this. This is the concealer. I'm gonna take this brush and we're gonna do a triangle shape. Now the amount of products you use, also gonna be preference, okay? Let me get my mirror. If you're older, you have dry under eyes, or you tend to get like cakey under here, a little bit less product is gonna do ya. If you're younger, maybe a bit more oily, you can probably stand a little more product, okay? So I go in this triangle shape and I'm gonna do one side so you can see the difference that it makes. So I'll do a triangle and then I'll just go ahead and kind of pat it out. Like that. Now if you wanna go all in with a bunch of product, you can. It just depends on your skin type and what you can handle. And then I'm taking a wet blending bud. I just washed this guy. This is a Real Techniques blending bud. You want to always wash your blending buds. I wash mine every single day. Every time I get it wet to work with it, I wash it. And I close my eyes because I don't mind it actually on my eyelid as a primer. But you want to wash it every day because these tend to grow bacteria because they're wet so often. So wash that, keep it sanitary. All right, so here we go. You can still see the triangle, but this is all going to get covered up with blush and our contour and everything. But can you see like the difference? I look more awake. Face maybe looks a little bit more lifted, so that's why we do that triangle shape. Okay, and we're gonna sit this with a powder in a little bit, but we're gonna go ahead and do the rest. I'm gonna go ahead and do, now I'm gonna highlight the middle of my face. I remember what else I was gonna say earlier. So if you think about if you're standing like under a spotlight, like there's a light shining down on your head, you're gonna think about where the light would naturally hit. It's gonna hit the bridge of your nose, your forehead, under your eye in that triangle shape. So that's kind of what we're what we're doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and highlight the middle of my forehead, down my nose, lip, chin. I like to personally do here as well. Now there's more advanced techniques to highlighting. This is a very beginner version. There are things you can do based on your face shape to kind of like trick the eye and change things around. Today I'm just going to teach you a very basic, everybody should be able to really handle this with their face shape, a very basic highlight and contour. So I'm going to go do in between, make a little cross, and I'm also going to go ahead and do right under my brow to clean things up. This is where that flat brush really comes in handy. I feel like you can get super close to your brow, you guys, and really clean up any mistakes that you may have made without disturbing that work you did on your eyebrow, okay? I'm gonna blend out what we've got and then do the other side. So just go ahead, got a hair right here. Start blending, and blend right through here. Now do you see, like we don't even have any contour on, but can you tell, like I'm already getting that kind of snatched look. I'm already getting a little bit skinnier because I got a little bit like light here. So it's making this look darker on its own, okay? Same thing, just gonna blend, pat down the nose. The nose highlight, just pat it like that, okay? Like this, I'm gonna get really carefully around my brow area and just smooth that out. Now I like to go ahead and blend under my brow, and like I said, I'd go ahead and bring that down on my eyelid. Like that, okay? All right, so I'm gonna go do the other side and I'll be right back. Okay guys, so we've got it done. I've done the other side. I've went ahead and assessed, added a little bit more concealer right through here because I was still kind of dark. But we're looking pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and set it with some translucent powder. You can use if you need more coverage, use a powder that matches the highlight. You can use a little bit more powder. I'm just gonna use translucent. Now what you do next depends on your skin type, okay? If you have oily skin and you need a lot of absorption under this area, you can bake. If you don't know what baking is, we can go over that in a different video, but it's basically leaving the powder on longer so that it sucks up the excess oil. If you're dry, a light dusting will do you. And I like to use a wet blending bud. You can use a powder brush if you want. I'm a little bit drier, so the wet blending bud for me helps add a little moisture to the powder. So this is my translucent powder. I'm just gonna go ahead and tap it. Now I've got a lot on there. That's too much for my under eyes, so I like to just start and set right through here. The rest of my face can handle it, but my under eyes cannot. So I'm just gonna go ahead, I went back in for a little bit more, pat through here. Now see how little I have? It's a lot less. I'm just gonna go ahead and get it on here. And then because I'm drier, I'm gonna do my eyebrows too. I'm gonna take that brush and just knock it off. I don't let it sit very long under there. I am super oily through here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and set that again with a little bit more powder. Just let it set a second and then we're gonna dust all that off. Not too long, just a second or two, and then we're gonna dust it. All right, make sure we're all dusted off. Now we're gonna go in with our contour. This is where the fun begins. I feel like for people, the highlighting is pretty easy. The contouring can be difficult. So like I told you guys, I'm gonna use a powder. You could also use, if you're a beginner, a stick foundation works really, really great. I'm actually gonna pull one out to show you guys and find the right color. Well, this is the wrong color, but I'm still gonna show you. This is way too dark. This is my summer contour color, but this is Cypress, okay? Now, you can use your finger and kind of like get this on here. If you don't know where to contour, you can feel your cheek. You can feel right where that cheekbone is. Right here's where mine is. That's where the contour is gonna wanna go, right through there. So go ahead and feel it, get an idea. You can suck in. I feel like for me, it's a little bit low. So I like to do right through here. If you were gonna use a cream, you can do that and just actually feel it and place it in there. But I'm gonna use a powder. I like the finish of the powder. So I'm gonna do this. Now you can use a couple different brushes for this. I really like this powder concealer brush. You can use an actual, they have brushes made for contouring. I don't know if I have one in here, I do. They've got a little like grippy, like this to get in there. Anything you want to do is great. I'm gonna do a very basic, natural looking contour. Now, if you want more of a strict line, use the thinner side, I'm gonna use the thicker side. I'm gonna go in, get a little powder, knock off any extra. So like I said, we're gonna go right through here. You can also go middle of your ear to your lip if you want a little reassurance, and just lightly kind of get that on there. Now when you do your contour, you want to make sure you stop about mid pupil. If you bring it too far in, it's going to look muddy. If you bring it too far down, it's going to look muddy. So I like to start a little bit higher than I think, because when you blend it, it's going to naturally come down. So I'll do that. You see where I've stopped kind of far back here? Mine's a little bit far back, but when we blend it, it's going to end up coming in and down. So do a little bit. You can always do more. Now I'm going to move on to my forehead. Forehead is a preference. If you have a small forehead, you may not contour. You may barely contour right at the hairline. If you have a larger forehead, the farther you bring down your contour, let me get a little more product, the smaller your forehead's gonna look. I feel like I have a medium head. So I'm gonna go ahead and do like that. Bring it down the side of my face. And I like to do right up under my jawline, okay? And then I connect it by the ear. I know that was fast. Now some people will tell you to do a backwards 3, and there's a reason for that. Can you see how it goes like bloop, bloop, like a 3? It's a really good way to remember it. I'm gonna do the other side so you can see it again. So right through here, right? Right, we already did our forehead. We're gonna bring it right down here and do our jawline like that, and right through here. The reason you do your jawline, I'm gonna do it in the front too. If you have an at-risk double chin, meaning you have a double chin, you're at risk for having a double chin. Sometimes if you look down at your kids, you have a double chin. That's gonna help just like snatch that whole chin area up. So you look a little skinnier, especially in photographs. It just adds that shadow in. Anywhere we put a shadow is gonna disappear and look skinnier. Now, since we use a powder, I'm gonna go ahead and blend it with this. If you went in with a cream, you can just buff it out with like a kabuki brush. A kabuki brush is a flat brush like this. I personally like the powders, but sometimes I'll use the cream for a more dramatic look because it just blends so nicely in with the rest of your makeup. I just think, but it's all preference, you guys. Now we didn't do our nose, so we're gonna go back in and contour our nose. Also preference, I like my nose to look a little bit skinnier. So that's when I'm gonna switch to the other side of this brush. This is technically a concealer side. You can use it to pat your concealer in. But I'm gonna use it for this powder. And I'm just gonna go and bring my nose in just a little bit smaller, okay? Just make sure you guys can see me. So I go my nose and kind of connect it up to my eyebrow. It's okay, you can always clean it up. Start out with a little bit if you're new to this, and then go in a little bit more, okay? So here we go again. Just like that. Some people do the underside of their nose, some people don't. So you want the highlight to pop out in the middle, and then you want the darkness, okay, darkness. Then I'm gonna take a brush. You can use the other side of this brush, just dust it off, and just blend the side so you don't have like a strict line, okay? All right. There you go, we've contoured very naturally, just skinnied up our face a little bit, added a little bit of color, black. I am gonna show you what to do with your blush, because next you'd wanna do blush. So let's grab us one, and I'm gonna show you where to place that. So I'm gonna use my favorite blush, if I can find it, because I really like it. Well, maybe not. I tend to throw things like, I'll make a video and just like leave it all sitting here. Here it is. Here it is. This is Surreal. It's like this mauvey purple. I freaking love it. I'm gonna take a blush brush, pat that on. So you're gonna wanna put your blush on top. If your contour was through here, you're gonna wanna put it on the top of your contour. Now, the higher you get your blush, the less down your face is gonna be dragged. So if you're struggling with like getting a little bit older and your face falls when you're not smiling, put your blush up a little bit higher. Don't put it on your eye, but like get it up there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pat it in right through here. Just like that. And I like to bring my blush, I just go ahead and bring it up through here. It just helps lift that face a little bit more. Give a little bit of color, okay? Do the other side too. Just like that. Start out with a little bit. You can always add some more. Blend that sucker back in, okay? Sometimes you may be looking and you're like, I could really use a little more contour, a little more blush. Just kind of assess, see where you're at, see where you're at. I may put just a touch more contour right in my cheekbones. Just a touch more right through here to look a little bit more snatched, a little bit more skinny. Making sure to stop at that pupil mark. And just look, make sure it's even. Okay. Now, if you got a kit with one of the sparkle highlights, that's the last thing I'm going to show you. So I'm going to grab this a la mode in Benevolent. This is a highlight. It's a shimmer like this, and I'm going to show you what you can do with that. You can use a brush like this for it if you want. You can use your little ring finger, but I'm going to dust it right through here. And you'll want to just pop that usually right up here on the cheekbone, kind of where we put that blush, right on top. And you see how that gives just like a little bit of a glow right through here. Some people do their nose. Now I want to remind you, I'm going to do right under my brow to open up the eyes and upper lip. Now I want to remind you guys, wherever you put this is going to draw attention to it. If you're trying to make your nose look skinnier, don't pop a big old ball of highlight right on the end, because that's where people's eyes are going to go. Either skip it all together, maybe just do a little bit right here, just so it like nicely gets a little hit of color when you're turning your head. But if you put a big old ball of highlight right here, shimmer highlight, they're gonna look there first. So just a PSA for you guys. I'm gonna go finish up the rest of my makeup and come back and show you guys the end result. Okay guys, we are back. This is the finished look. I just added some eyeshadow, some lipstick. I did use some setting spray. But one thing I forgot to tell you guys back in the video, if for the contour color you don't have a darker foundation and you don't want to buy one, a little bronzer will go a long way. Some people will tell you you can't use bronzer. I say those people are haters and use whatever you want. Just be careful with the color of bronzer. You may not want to use too much shimmer bronzer if you are getting up there in age, but try it out, see what you think. I think bronzer is really beautiful on most people. So I hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye.